How's it going, everybody? This is Dr. Jeff, Chief Medical Officer at Rhythmia Life Advancement Center in Costa Rica. Hope you're all doing really well. I was thinking about what I should talk about today, and I always have a lot of things I could say. I'm never at a loss for words, as some of you guys might know. But I was thinking, what is sort of the goal of humanity? Like, what is all of our intention? Like, what are we, as human beings, like, what are we trying to accomplish in our life? And I think it can be broken down into some really simple things. Like, we want to be happy. We want to have a certain level of success in a way that matches, who we are as individuals. Success could be having health. Success is defined by lots of different things. So being happy, being successful in the ways that we choose to be, and then having a sense of community or feeling like we're connected to other people and having this sort of, not being alone. So those three things are really important. And when I've noticed lately, like in society, what are ways to control you? Like, what are ways that the world uses to control you? Well, it tries to take away those three things. It tries to make you not happy or make you feel that you are happy in a superficial way. It tries to take away your individual connection with other people, take away your sort of community. And it tries to make it so that you're not successful, that you're not empowered, that you don't have independence or sovereignty. So why would society or whatever, why would certain segments of society want to do that? Well, it's because it's easier to control somebody that is isolated, alone, unhappy, and not successful in the ways that they want to be. So I'm saying that that's over. We can't allow that anymore as people, or as a human race. We can't allow government agencies, big corporations, which I think is the root of things. We can't allow big corporations to rule our individual lives, because a big corporation isn't necessarily going to have our best interests at heart. They're going to have bottom line and profit margins and control and power and money at their bottom line, right? So obviously, corporations are important for lots of things, but I'm talking about sort of the culture behind it and sort of behind the scenes, what can happen if we're not aware and vigilant about our own lives. What I prefer is to become empowered. I choose to become sovereign as best I can. Now, we can make the argument that nobody's ever really independent because you're always relying on certain things, which is true. But I can be independent of thought. I can be independent, meaning I can make my own decisions when I have sufficient information. Now, how do we do that? Like, how do we become empowered, connected with ourselves, and independent? Well, there's not a lot of tools out there in the world to help facilitate this. There are some, but they're hard to access for a lot of people, and they can be expensive. And the people might just not have the ability to access them. So what I really like about what we're doing at Rhythmia is we're creating an environment of empowerment for people. We're creating an environment where you can go deep into who you are as an individual, figure it out, solve the problems, and move on in life in a healthy way. Because if you're holding on to excess historical traumas that, your emotions during that time were put into the amygdala part of your brain to help you survive in the traumatic moment, that's ruling your life now. And it's not necessary, because you're not in a trauma space necessarily anymore. You're not a 5-year-old kid who's being abused or traumatized or abandoned. Now you're an adult, and you're just trying to have a healthy relationship with your spouse or friends, or you're trying to be successful in your job and you're finding it hard. That's because the trauma of the past is influencing your decisions now. It's making it so you don't want to be vulnerable. Now, I think none of us like to be vulnerable in a way that leads to abuse or hurt. But being vulnerable doesn't mean weakness. Being vulnerable means that I'm going to allow somebody in because I'm confident enough in myself that if they choose to reject, abandon me, or not accept who I am, it doesn't destroy me. It just maybe hurts my feelings for a couple of minutes, and then I'm past it. That's the hope, right? So how do we get empowered within ourselves? How do we find a sense of self? How do we connect and plug into who we are as people? Well, we have to do the work. And some people don't want to do the work. Some people like how they are. They like the level of sort of functioning and dysfunctioning that they might have, because we all have parts of ourselves that are functioning well and parts that are not functioning well. There's some of us, out there, which is not any of you, because you wouldn't be listening to this if you were like this, but there's some people out there that just don't want to change and don't want to look at themselves because they're afraid to. They're actually really afraid to. And they've built up over time crutches of avoidance, and they know how to not really look at themselves in a deep way because they're just too afraid to. They don't really have the confidence in it. So they like to stay in this sort of state of dysfunction. And we all know people like that. Maybe we used to be like that at some point. But we're not talking about those people. We're talking about you. We're talking about you want to move past the dysfunctional sort of parts of yourself that are not working anymore, the parts that don't serve you anymore. And like I said, there's lots of ways to do that, but some of those ways are not accessible to most people, or they're just very time consuming. So at Rhythmia, minute one, we're helping you connect with yourself. We're in a beautiful area of Costa Rica that's very healing and grounding. It's a blue zone, which is a very healthy part of the world. And the staff here are amazing, and they're very well-connected people themselves, and they're helping provide an environment of safety. All the modalities that we offer in our program, the classes, the plant medicine, the breath work, the yoga, the exercise, the spa, the body work, everything, the food, everything is geared towards helping you connect with yourself. And to be honest, it's uncomfortable at times. It's very uncomfortable. It's liberating. It's exhilarating. It gives you a sense of success and reward for you, but it's not easy, because looking at your sort of shadow self can be a little upsetting. And you have to do it in a place where it's allowed, in a sense that there's people going deep in a vulnerable way and it's protected. So that's what we do here at Rhythmia. We allow a space for people to go deep, look at their shadow self, resolve it, heal it, and drop the guilt and shame about it and move forward. That's what we're doing. And that's why this place is so powerful. That's why we've seen 12,000 people through these doors. That's why, we're so successful, is because there's been so many people have been through here that have just had these amazing breakthroughs. We see it every single week. I've been here since the beginning, and every single week there's people with these amazing breakthroughs. So we're not worried about people that aren't looking. We're not worried right now about people that don't want to look at themselves and want to just kind of like keep going on in life, cruise control, like sort of happy, sort of not really. That's okay for them. Maybe one day, they'll get on board and look at themselves and change. But, we don't have to worry about that right now. First and foremost is you. How do we get you to feel safe enough to come to Rhythmia, get the comforts and the vibes going that are going to help you connect with yourself? We have a very amazing staff here, an amazing plant medicine department, and it's just great people here. All the guests are amazing people. We have Jack Canfield is our guest speaker. He's a great thought leader. He's here this week speaking, and he's been here multiple times, and he's always a great guest to have, with his wife, and it's just amazing. So we have thought leaders from all around the world that come here and talk and have a good, positive vibe for everybody. So let's get empowered. Let's get successful. Let's get connected. Let's develop that sense of community. If you feel isolated and alone, come down to Rhythmia and we'll get it started. Thanks for watching. See you guys next week. Pura vida.